These nets are put on a metal bar, which is a specific shape, and this is the love cage. The love cage is where mating takes place, and we have to provide a basin or a bucket where we put objects like this electrical conduit for the black flies to lay their eggs. So apart from the conduit, we also have to put food or substitute which has an odor, so that it can be as an attractant for the flies to mate and lay eggs. So I have to close the zip so that the flies which are trapped inside cannot escape. There are several ways which you can provide for the black soldier flies to lay eggs. For example, you can use flexible electrical conduits like the ones which we are using here. If you do not have the electrical conduits, you can use pieces of wood joined together, or you can use a carton paper, which is readily available anywhere without buying it, where is attractive for the black soldier flies to lay their eggs. So right now, after 3 days of the black soldier fly in the love cage, they are able to lay eggs, and every 3 days you remove the conduits from the love cage. So by doing this, by banging the conduit here on this crate, is making sure that I capture all the eggs which are needed for the next set of black soldier flies to grow or to go to the next step after the eggs have been laid. So this is a process where we remove all the eggs from the conduits or from the boxes or from the woods. So we remove them and we make sure that they are safe. All the materials that you used must be recycled, like the crates, the basins, the conduits, the woods that are used to lay eggs. All of them must be recycled, so they must be washed with soap and running water to make sure that they are clean for the next cycle, for recycling, for reusing again. Because if you don't keep your things clean, the soldier flies will be infected or affected because of that. As much as that we are using waste for the whole process, but there are other things that we would not want to get into our cage, like mites, like rats, mice, and other things which come because of that. So we must ensure that our colony is clean. So we must make sure that everything is clean and ready for recycling, so that our aim is only to rear the black soldier flies and not to rear other unwanted things or insects or anything that we don't need. So we must make sure we are clean by washing thoroughly. The next process is recycling. Recycling, because we have already removed the eggs and we want the next flies in the love cage to lay eggs, we put a substrate and we put the conduits for egg laying. So we put a substrate, our food, which we already had grinded, so that we can go the next process of the black soldiers to lay again, so that we can have a new colony. So this is what we are doing here, putting new food for new flies to be born and to continue the colony. It is repeating the process round and round, so that we can get the best of it, and making sure that we can also distribute the flies to the community. We train them on what we need, on the waste that we are using. We use mostly market waste or kitchen waste, food from hotels which is remaining in the plates, food from restaurant, school which is remaining, and also in the market there is a lot of waste. So the waste is what we need to use again for recycling. Then we put our conduits so that we can take it to the love cage. Then we can have a new breed. After the eggs have been laid and hatched, so we take them to a different place where they are fed. I will show you the process of feeding the flies. Then in this process is sorting. We are sorting by separating the pupa. The pupa is the fly when it's nearly to the adult stage. It is dormant and it does not feed at this stage. It's black in color and it does not move. So the other ones which are moving are inside of this crate, but the pupa, at the stage of the pupa, the black soldier fly does not move, so it is on top of the crate because it is ready to become a fly. So here we have several steps. First of all, we remove the darts. The darts, they came from the food which was grinded, and after grinding the food, some things just get in depending on the type of waste you have. So some things just get in. So the first step is to remove the dirt, and then you don't shake the crate. You have to have the crate very stable so that you can remove the top layer which contains the pupa. So we scoop with our hands to remove the pupa, which is only the top layer. And then at the bottom of this crate, after the pupa has been removed, there are a lot of flies which are still growing, and that is what we are separating. So we use a meshed tray to separate them so that we can still have our colony going on. So we separate, and then we leave the ones which are down, and we use a sieve, a plastic sieve which is handmade, to separate the larva, that is small flies, before they become pupa and before they become adult, before they emerge into flies. So we separate. There is a pre-pupa stage which is black in color but it's moving, but in this stage it's pupa stage which is ready to pull out its tail and become a fly. So this is the adult stage, and after we sieve, there are things that we are able to get from the substrate, what we used as food. After the food has been eaten, the waste food has been eaten by the flies, it becomes like soil. Then this soil can be used in several ways. It can be used in manure. So it is very important because you recycle, you use waste food from the market market waste or from the kitchen waste or even from the houses of your chicken, pigs, goats, whatever you need to use as waste. So you use that, and then you grind. After grinding, you feed it to the flies, and then when the flies are big, this waste which has been eaten and excreted by the flies is removed, and then it's back as soil, as clean soil. So this soil can be used back in your garden as manure. And when you remove the pupa, when the pupa flies as a bud, the remains from the pupa stage, when they are ground together and added water, they act as a pesticide. So it is all natural, without chemicals, without additives, and it's very good for plants and recycling, and it makes the soil very rich because it has several nutrients, around 16 nutrients, which goes back to your garden and to your plants. So that is a good thing for recycling. So this is what we are doing here and sieving. And then you can see in this green crate there are small flies, very small ones, which are still walking. So if they pass through the sieve, there is another second time that you sieve again, so that they cannot pass. You sieve until you don't have wastage of the flies. You sieve and then you repeat the sieving. When you repeat the sieving, you will capture all the flies. And also at this point is where you can, if you have a fish pond or chicken, you can use them before you throw the soil, before you take it for healing to become manure. You can feed your chicken so that they don't go to waste, the ones which have gone in the soil. So you can feed your chicken. You can feed, if you have birds, if you have pet birds, if you have fish, you can use it at this stage for feeding your fish and feeding your chicken. So it's good that it's all profit and it's easy. You don't have to have a degree to do black soja farming. It is just interest, and it can be used at home by all women. It can be used by men. It can be used by people with disabilities. It can be used because it does not need a lot of energy, or you just need to understand the process, which is easy farming. So now we are separating. You can see the process. So now we can say it is the harvesting time. Harvesting time, separation time. We can say it's the harvest time. And obviously when you are harvesting, it is celebration. So it's our celebration time. It's our celebration time. After the sieving, obviously there are some of the larvae that will pass through the sieve. So we use larger tray to separate them by putting them on the sun. They don't like too much sunshine. So the ones which are walking, the ones which are in the small stage, will go down the sieve. But the pupa, because they are inactive and not feeding, they will be on top of the tray because they are not walking, they are inactive. So that is how we are able to get the larvae separate. So we use this bigger sieve. Then the ones which are walking will go down because they don't like the sun, and the ones which are at the pupa stage will be on top of this tray. So we will separate them, and then The ones which are down, we take them again for feeding and we let them grow. They grow to the next stage and then they also become pupa, and then after pupa they become flies, and then they go to mate again. After mating, they lay eggs, and the process is a repetition. The process is a repetition of the same process over and over again. So you will just be cycling, you'll be doing the cycle over and over again, and feed them. Before feeding them, you must grind using an electrical machine. You grind the food so that it can be smooth and easy to be eaten by the flies at different stages, from when they are small babies up to the stage where they are adult. The adult flies, they don't eat too much. Even when you look at the substitute which is on the love cage, it still remains. The thing that we give them on that level is water on a cotton wool, because they only suck. The mouth only sucks. So you don't put too much water, because if you put too much water on the cotton wool, they will drown. If they drown, they die. So you will lose your flies. So what we do, we put water on cotton wool, and then we give them to suck. They only survive on water and a little bit of food on that stage. But the small ones like this one, we must give them the food which we have ground. So this is the whole process, and it goes round and round and round. So it's a repetition, and the thing about this is full of harvest. There's no loss. It's more than 100% profit, and this is a training that should be shown to every African woman, even for home farming, for household, for communities, for anyone. They should be doing black soldier fly farming, because nothing goes to waste. So I hope you like this idea, and you will be able to support us to be able to support many African women in this noble idea, which not so many people know about. Black soldier farming, not so many people document about black soldier farming, but most people want to sell from it. So thank you very much, and